All right, welcome back to Badge of the Bone podcast. I'm Denny.
I'm Al.
Al, let's do an episode.
Buckle up. Let's get started.
Hey, Al.
Denny, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
So, we're going to just chat tonight.
Yeah, I think this is winging it with a plan.
Yeah.
Winging it with a framework.
Yeah, I like that, and that's kind of, I don't know, that seems to be our forte sometimes. Just kind of, hey, we're going to do this. But
Yep.
we got talking, and
Yeah, we've been doing quite a bit of that.
we have, and it's kind of what sparked me to say we need to turn on a microphone because I think we need to have an authentic conversation. But one of the things that we're dealing with is anybody that's listening or listening regular obviously has seen that we had a little bit of a delay in between episode 3 and 4. I think we went like a month. Was it a full month? We try to do every other week.
Does it sound bad that I've really got no sense of time?
Well, and it was just, we were trying to catch up on a recording. Then we had a recording. Then, the editing wasn't quite getting done. We had, life
Mm-hmm.
is happening. It was busy. And I could just tell something just felt off with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just felt off. Like it wasn't the, normally we are, I don't want to, pat ourselves on the back, but usually we are, cranking out recordings and they're edited and we're dropping them right on the money and we got them still banked up, waiting for release. And it just seemed off. So
shit started to get a little hazy.
Yeah. And
a little unfocused.
And then it finally, it came to me when you had mentioned, you're like, look, we were going over to, you just finished your home bar, which is amazing. And I hope when we go to YouTube, that's probably where we're going to record there and everybody will get to see it, but it looks fantastic.
Thank you.
But I remember I was going over and we were kind of texting back and forth in the day of when I was going to get over there. And I'd sent you a message. I didn't hear back from you for a little bit. And you're like, hey, yeah, come on. I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, yeah, give me 15 minutes. And I remember before I said that, you're like, come on over. And you're like, please. And that I was like, okay.
I didn't even think about that. But
yeah. You're like, please. And I was like, okay. So this is more of just us running. And really was me to see the bar and then us to maybe do a little test recording over there, see how it goes. But when you said that, I was like, okay, yeah. And you had mentioned before that, we need to really talk and, come over there and just, you kind of emphasize we had stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And when we got there, you had, pretty much, talked about that you had a lot of stress lately. You had a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the background going on.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not sure how too in the weeds I'm going to get with that.
Well, I don't think we need to get in the weeds. So
but yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, and I think we were both talking about just feeling a little unfocused.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you've talked extensively about your mental health journey, and we will probably end up revisiting that because I think it's a very
important story.
And before we went on the air, we were chatting a little bit about this. That God knows we're not Sean Ryan. It'd be great if we were. Sean, if you're listening, we would love to be on your show.
Oh my gosh, we
Uh,
would.
um, but we're not Joe Rogan. We're not any of that stuff. But
Also, another show we'd love to make an appearance on.
Joe, if you're listening. um, but things have gone really well.
Yeah, I mean, they really have.
Really well. Surprisingly well. Pleasantly surprising. I mean, I tend to be you have the glass half full, the glass half empty, or this glass is full of piss.
Yeah.
I tend to be the latter.
Yeah, I thought I was doing pretty good with the glasses, like an eighth full.
So,
And why does it look yellow?
see? So, it things have been going really well. And they've been going really well in a relatively short span of time.
Agreed.
And I'm pretty happy with where things are vis-a-vis what we're doing tonight. But the more people had come up to us a lot in the last, I'd just say the last month alone, and like, oh, you guys are doing really good. We appreciate it, man. These guys are out here killing it. Blah blah blah. And I think everybody that told us that came from a position of love, and it was really from the heart. But there's a but there. That you start to feel I guess the imposter syndrome kicks in.
Okay, and that's I'm going to kind of interject here, I guess, but with the comment that you made when we were talking,
Yeah.
that really struck me, and I think this is what you're hitting on. Is you're like you said, I've got all these things going on, and it's causing some stress, and it's causing a lot of stress, and it's wearing you down, and
Oh yeah. And just speaking for myself, I think I hit a stress wall in my personal life.
yeah,
And I'm retired. I mean,
right.
this should not be a thing, at least in theory.
But what you said, as you explained that, you said, and we do all these podcasts, we talk to folks, and we do all this mental wellness. But you said, I feel like a fraud, and I think
Yeah.
that's extreme. But I get it because I know where you're coming from. That it's we have all these guests on. We have all these folks on that talk about their stories, that talk about resiliency, things that they went through. We encourage it. We encourage therapy. We encourage unpacking your trauma. We encourage resiliency. We, preach all this stuff episode after episode. And then I felt like your point was, now I'm going through some stuff, but I'm not taking the steps that we tell everybody to do to get myself back into a better place. And is that correct? Kind of how you're feeling that?
That meme of the flaming dumpster floating down the floodwaters.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's why I thought it was important for us to get and have this conversation on here because for me, there's a couple of things working there, and one, it's always easier to sit on a side of the table and talk about these are the things you need to do. Just like it's easy for me to talk to somebody about physical fitness and say these are all the physical fitness things you need to do, and then I'm not turning around and running 2 miles every day. But I can tell somebody how beneficial it is to do it, but it doesn't mean that I'm doing it. And I guess what I'm getting at is it's easier for us to sit on this side of the table and talk about all the things that we know are helpful, things that can help get you on the right track, how important it is to get on the right track, how important it is to have these conversations, how important it is to talk. But those are still hard things to do. Just because they're hard things to do, And just because we're preaching that this is what you need to be doing doesn't make it easy for us to do ourselves on our end. It's a hard thing to talk about, troubles you're having. It's a hard thing to talk about your mental wellness. It's a hard thing to talk about if you're in that low time. Life kind of goes like a roller. It has ups and downs. And when you're in your downs, it's hard to talk about those things. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we encourage it. But we are just like everybody else. Just because we are on here to talk about all these things to do to improve mental wellness doesn't mean that we're not our own dumpster fire burning right at that moment.
You can see it from space.
But I think it's real that we put that out there because I don't want anybody to think that, man, oh, these guys got it all, and I've had my journey, but I still have my struggles. And I still have days that are better than others, or even weeks that are better than others. And am I always still great about expressing that that's what's going on, talk about what's going on? No. I mean, I still have to really
No,
fight that battle.
and the funny thing is, to take this a step further, we're both terrible about it. We're both terrible about it. And I mean, really, and
Well,
it as long as we've known one another, and as close as we are, and as long as we've been doing this, we're 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 terrible about talking to one another about some of like the hard shit
yeah.
until it's like, oh my god, my head's gonna explode now.
And that's true, but that makes us no different than anybody else.
And then we talk.
And we do, but we recognize that we shouldn't be like that. And we try to encourage all those listening and the folks that come on not to let it get to that point. It's just hard to practice that yourself. It doesn't, as you said, oh, I'm a fraud. It doesn't mean you're a fraud. It means we are just like and no different than everybody that's listening, everybody that comes on here. We are all in that boat together. We are all riding in that boat at, well, probably a ship, but we are all riding in it together.
No, it's a boat. It's really crowded. And it's on fire.
And we've got the life jackets back on shore.
Sharks are circling, whole 9 yards.
So,
Yeah,
I just thought it was so important for us to maybe have that conversation and let folks know that, yeah, man, we still have to work at this.
mm-hmm.
You still have to work at it. I still have to work at it. And you and me, as close as we are, we still have to work at it with talking to each other. It is a constant working process. It really is.
And we talk about, we have a profession that particularly people of our generation, I think the younger ones have gotten a lot better about it.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
I was real cynical about that until I started seeing a little more, really just within the last couple months or so, that I've really started to see some stuff from the younger crowd and go, wow, they're doing a lot better than us.
You might actually be okay. You might get to the end of this and be in pretty good shape.
And and some of my cynicism fell away. But where was I going with that? See, this is part of the problem. I have the memory of an Alzheimer's riddled 90-year-old.
Well, we are getting older, so that's part of it. But stress is going to do that to you. Stress is going to mess with your memory.
I literally walk into the room and forget why the hell I'm there.
What are we doing today?
Is this where am I?
But again, it just highlights that we are in that same boat.
Yeah, and it's been a tough realization getting to the point where I'm willing to say I'm in that boat too. and I've said, I've had my issues, I've had my this, I've had my that. eh, and to go, no, nope, nope, I'm sitting squarely in the middle of the boat as we speak, which is not something that I wanted to talk about, not something I wanted to deal with.
Sure.
And again, I'm retired, right? The job is behind me. But there were, and I want to be very clear that I don't lay um, a lot of my problems. I don't think they're rooted in the job.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can see that.
But the job did cut a pretty clear path through all that. It certainly, absolutely is fuel to the fire. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, and I would guess that just because you retire doesn't mean there's still some things buried in there that maybe still haven't been confronted or addressed or
Well,
caused issues before that just haven't been talked about.
no, well, and then you have this. So in my household, for you know the for the immediate, going into retirement, we made a decision that I wasn't going to work outside the home. Um, for the immediate, and certainly not in any sort of full time capacity, um, because it was more important for our particular domestic situation that I be there to, you know, do the things, because we still have school age kids.
Right.
Um, and you, you kind of bounce between, days where you're really, really busy, right? And I'm not somebody who likes to sit around. Um, you know, I because my wife works from home, and she would probably say that I putter constantly, right? Um,
And not
and
golfing.
no, no, and I get out on my bike as much as I can, but I mean that was another thing that I recognized that something was wrong. When I just wasn't motivated to get out on that, and I'm always motivated to get out on that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's always a sign.
so, but my point is, you have these days where you're really, really busy, and any of you guys listening that are coming close to retirement, hear me out. Um, I'm not old, right? I'm not elderly. I'm
Oh,
old, but
well.
I'm old. I'm not elderly. And and you have the days that you're really, really busy, and then you have days where you're not so busy, right? And you have those days sometimes where you're really busy in the morning, you're really busy in the afternoon and evening, and in between, not so much. And then you really fucking get in your own head,
That's where it starts.
and then you get in your own head, and you don't always have a place to put it. That's not always comfortable,
Nope.
and doesn't always take you to a productive place.
It usually does not. But Al, I mean, I have to say that I know you feel like, man, I'm not. I've been all this has been piling up, and I haven't been addressing it, and we're making these episodes where we're telling everybody else to address these things, or we're hearing everybody else's resiliency. But I will say that the fact that you were reaching out, hey, come over,
Mhm.
please. And then not only that, we sat and chatted for quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
10 years ago, I think that still wouldn't have happened yet.
Oh
I
no.
think you'd have let this go on even more
I think we.
before you said anything.
I think we both would have been guilty of that for sure.
So with that, that means we have made some positive progress.
Oh, that's not without throwing a bunch of frag grenades into our own lives.
Well, sure. I mean, the progress may be mild, it may be a little, but I think it is some progress.
I, well,
That part's encouraging, but I get it because I've had the same thoughts. I've sat here before and go, man, I'm just in my own head. I'm, struggling with whatever it is that's beat me up in my head, and I'm going, man, how can I get on this podcast and talk about all these things you should be doing and all the resiliency and stuff when I'm sitting here and I feel like I can't get myself
well, it
back together.
it was getting to a point until you said, I think we need to have this conversation, amongst ourselves, and then I think we need to maybe put this to recording. It was getting to the point of like, what are we going to talk about? What am I in the mood to talk about? And I don't want, I don't want it I like this too much to be like that.
Yeah, I get it. I've been the same way the past couple of months. I've been kind of just flat and trying to get the episodes edited together. The drive wasn't there. There was something going on, and I think probably I wasn't quite on my game. I could sense that that you were hazy as well, and
Mm,
it just
hmm
kind of went that way. But again, that's why I think this is a great. This is what we do. So let's put the mics on and talk about it right here on a microphone. And because it doesn't get any more authentic or real than this. I mean, this is we.
No, and I did make that step. I'd only been in therapy once in my life, and here I am, 51, and I benefited from that, but I look back on it, I go, well, maybe that was more of a band aid,
Lots of times it is.
and um, so I very recently put myself back in, and the sessions I've only had two so far. It's very recent. Um, very recent. But they've been long sessions.
That's not a bad thing.
No, but
I mean, you got a lot to talk. You got a lot to unpack. You got to get a whole lot of bags.
bring that forklift over here.
I didn't bring a weekend bag to the session, so
Yeah, and I did that, and I it's again, it's very new, um, but thus far, I think it's been a very good decision. But then, I come out of the session and go, like you said, it there's a lot to unpack. We're going to be here a while.
well, sure, you can't get it all in one. It's a working progress, but I don't know. That's huge, though. That's huge that you're taking that step because again, that's what we talk about here. We how many times have we encouraged finding a therapist or finding therapy, going to talking through these things, unpacking. How many times have we talked about that?
Mm.
So now you came to that crossroad where you felt like you had stuff to unpack, and now you're doing it. So I mean,
Yeah, it's it's going to take a while.
I
It's
think,
going.
and it may, but
We may be having the same conversation next year. I don't know.
hey, that's fine. I'll have it, brother. But I think it shows the opposite of where you're sitting there telling me, going, man, I feel like we're a fraud. We're not doing what we say. We're not doing well. We've got all our own stuff going on, our own shit piling up, and we're not addressing it. But you are addressing it. Now it may have taken a little bit of time to flip that switch, but that's not because it's not easy to address. That's what we thought. It's not easy to address it, but you're doing it. So you are practicing what we preach here. You are actively doing what we say needs to be done to make our mental wellness better.
Mm.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I thank you. It was the conversations kind of like about kind of that imposter syndrome, just call
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and then it was about a week before, um, dear friend of mine was having a personal issue that he called me about to vent and to get my advice, and I that was another thing, and it kind of adds to some of that imposter syndrome kind of thing. Is I told the therapist, I said, one of the things that happens to me is people come to me in my personal life looking for help, looking for advice, looking for well, you're the rational brain here, blah blah blah. Like, what do you think? And I've always done that,
Hmm.
and I will not that not that I'm Buddha, because I'm not. Um, but I've always done that, and that's something I told them. It's yeah, maybe I gave you good advice. Maybe I was there for you. And then when we hang up the phone, I go back to, well, go warm my hands over the burning dumpster again.
Again, it is always so much easier to direct somebody how to get on track with whatever it is you're talking, whether it's mental wellness, physical fitness, eating habits, anything, your job habits, it's always easier to talk to somebody about those things. But
Look at me, I got my shit screwed down tight. Yeah.
right, when the rubber meets the road, it's not, those things aren't always easy to do. So I think it's important that we recognize that. I'm glad that you and I are recognizing that just, and I hope folks listening recognize it. Just because we do this podcast, just because we are doing everything we can to try to promote wellness, doesn't mean that we have it all figured out.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. And
I mean, we're working to figure it all out. We're working to make it better.
well, and something else I had said was that you know we got into this in part to kind of as a as kind of a personal therapy for ourselves.
And this is true. That's very true. That's a great point. And we did.
And the farther we got into it, I was like, this isn't so therapeutic anymore. it's it's really pointing out a lot of the flaws and shit.
I got a lot of shit to work on.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this too, because we spend so much time talking about job related trauma, right?
Yep. Yep.
All the things that happen on the job to scramble our brains, right? And that's important because that happens, and it's to a great extent it is why we are here. However, we are human beings separate and apart from our jobs. separate and in part from our identities as cops, firefighters, EMS providers, whatever that may be. And we got kids and spouses and families and all manner of other things in our lives, things that predated our time on the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that shit adds up too.
Well, it does. It's all stress, just different origins.
Right. And I think sometimes, you know, even we get focused on, the job related stress. Cause again, I mean, that's what we talk about. I mean, we are a air quotes professional podcast, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, we talk about professional issues, but you go into the job with baggage that has nothing to do with the job. What does the job then do to that baggage? Or if you're on the job and baggage that has nothing to do with the job comes up,
And it usually does.
that's just called life.
Correct.
Then what does that do? And, speaking strictly for myself, that's an issue I'm grappling with. You know, the job is, I ain't gonna lie, the job is a shitload of stress. Shitload of stress. And the last few years I was on the job, it was a completely different type of stress. It was headquarters stress.
Headquarters. Ugh.
Yeah.
Stay away.
It was headquarters stress. Um, but it's it can magnify
Hmm.
in two different directions. The home stress can magnify the job stress. I say home stress just for anything that's not directly related to the job.
Yep, I got you.
The job stress can magnify the home stress.
Oh, absolutely.
And back and forth we go.
And around, like a carousel with the music.
Right, right, right. And, you know, so I, I think that that's really worth mentioning that there may be people out there listening and the job is fantastic, everything's great, their chief pats them on the head and gives them a pizza party every week and life is great on the job, but you know something else in their life is dicked up.
And that has to be handled. It has to be addressed.
Right. So it's if I've said this before, I'll keep coming back to it because it's always one of my favorite quotes, which is that everything is connected and the web is sacred.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then, um, that's my next tattoo eventually, whenever I get around to that. But the it is it's there. I'm learning indistinguishable from one another.
Well, it is all connected. Absolutely. And maybe we haven't addressed that enough. And we do focus a lot on just the job stress, but there's so much other stress outside of that. But it does get carried back to the job
Right.
because it is, like you say, it is all connected.
Yeah, and I think that if we've not touched on something since we started this, that might be one of the issues that we've missed. Um, is kind of a little more holistic, you know, the personal and the professional, and how those two things interplay with one another, especially over time. Um, how does that work? And you know, um, it's it's tough. I mean, it's tough, and I'll say this too. I mean, for you folks that have married one of us, God bless you.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
If you married us knowing that we came to the party with baggage before the job, doubly God bless you. Um, you know, because I mean, let's be honest, most of us have crashed and burned on that front.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, so
Well, I mean, I'm glad we are having this conversation. I'm glad we're talking about this.
mhm. It's kind of
I just, want folks to know that, we still have things we got to work through. And we still are going to have times where we're working through something. And hopefully we take proactive steps to do it. But sometimes it takes a little time to get in gear.
it, yes, and when people are and people have been. I mean, I cannot say this enough. I mean, just the amount of love and support that we have received in doing what we do has been phenomenal. I mean, it has exceeded my greatest expectations. I mean, it's just I cannot say enough about how good that is and how much that has meant. And I mean, just absolutely been floored by that. But realize that, and I think we've been clear about this. We're a platform, we're a conduit, but we possess no great knowledge. We don't have a lot of wise thoughts to share with the
Well,
masses.
I mean, yes and no. And I'm with you on that. I think a lot of that happens. It comes from just being you're humble. I'm humble. We're humble people. So I think we kind of put it out there like that. But really, if you break it down, there's a lot of life experience sitting here
Yeah,
on the job, off the job. And we've seen a lot.
not always good experience.
I didn't say good. I said experience. Um, but we have experienced a lot of things, some good,
Yeah,
some bad, some indifferent.
yeah,
And we have been connected with a lot of folks that have experienced things. So through their experiences, we have learned some things, we have seen some things. And and I think from doing this podcast, if you look back at all the episodes, all the people we've talked to,
no,
we've learned from them.
and you're right.
So I think I do think we have some things to offer, and I think we have some informed thoughts to offer, some
I
informed
definitely,
direction.
I definitely have learned some things.
We're not doctors, I mean, but I think we have some good knowledge base, and we use that to try to help every way we can.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue that. We're not looking to stop, but I mean we're definitely, for whatever whatever the reason, the stars align that we were really, I we um really just taking stock, um that but I was going to say that we have, yeah, speaking for myself, I mean we made some new friendships out of this,
We
great
have,
friendships,
we have.
and really gotten to know some really outstanding people, and really gotten to see a community start really building. Um, and I like to think that, we were a part of that. And for that, I mean, again, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And
Amen.
so I'm grateful for that. But, you know, I think we just, like you said, we take stock of ourselves, and we have to work on ourselves. And just speaking for myself, I am back to being a work in progress.
And that's not a bad thing. I think we're all a work in progress. I mean, I know I am. Like I say, some days are better than others.
Mhm.
I still have things that I struggle with. I will have to say that if I was going to peg one of the biggest things that I struggle with, and to this day, excuse me, is I spend a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror. And what I mean is, I look about when I left the job.
Mm,
I look, if I didn't leave, where would I
mm,
be now?
mm,
I also look at, if I hadn't had, my huge misstep,
mhm,
where would I be now?
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
and it's hard not to. And I think about that a lot. Where would I be? What position would I be in? Just what would have been? But I try to dial myself back in because I know that no matter what, holistically, all the way around, I'm in a better place than I ever was. So, I mean, my work now is good. My home life is fantastic. So it has really it's gotten to where the whole circle around it is gotten in a better place. It's not just one piece is doing well while the others is burning, and it switches around. So I do have to remind myself of that, but it's hard not to look in that, and I struggle with that. I really struggle with that. Where would I be right now? I struggle about just again what would have been, but I probably wouldn't be doing this if that happened. If I had not, if none of that had happened, we probably wouldn't be sitting here under a microphone having these conversations. I don't think this would be in play right now. So I have to remind myself of that sometimes.
You can really go down some rabbit holes with that, because I mean, I do the same thing, different stuff.
But it's that, and then the other part of it is that I look back and I'm like, how many people did I let down? Did I let people down? How many people did I let down? But again, I have to remind myself to I've got to move on. Most of the folks that I'm close to and staying in touch with are super encouraging and have been fantastic. So I try to focus on those things.
and you said something right there. Let down. And, I look back and I go, I can be upset about the times I was let down by other people,
Right.
but I can look, I can also look back at when I let people that I love, care about, I let them down because of whatever's going on in my own head. And that is something that I really wrestle with. Um, I have a lot of guilt
Oh man, that's a
over,
whole nother podcast for me, brother. Um, wow. Yeah.
of things done. Um, the I don't usually talk about my faith tradition, but I'm Episcopal, and our confession prayer is, forgive me for the things that I've done and left undone.
Right.
Um, and I think about that. That is, and again, I said I got back into therapy, and I'm starting that that a brand new journey with that, and that is pretty confident one of the areas that we're going to be tackling is the done and left undone, and that's a hard one, you know.
It is, and I'm glad to hear that that's probably going to be on the agenda, because that is a tough one. But I mean, at the end of the day, we are working through all these things still. I said, days that I'm looking at rearview mirror, I'm trying to remind myself of what I'm doing now, what things are going good now, what things I have picked up that have been great,
Hmm.
because I'm not in that spot that I see myself would have been in, that I see in the rearview mirror.
Hmm.
So it's just tough to do. It's hard to do. You got to make a conscious effort to do that, and just like many of the people we've had on the show, just like many of the people we talk to daily, we
Well,
work through struggles.
and to be quite honest, I mean, some of those people we've had on just this season, like Mark, um, he's got a lot of reason to be sad and angry and barely able to get out of bed every morning. But he is not that person.
That's a good point too, and that's another I try to remind myself of examples like that. Um, when I want to hang my head down, or I want to be like, and feeling sorry for myself, and I think about Mark
Hmm.
and what an example he set, and what a motivator he was, what an inspiration he was.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I, I think we're doing some good things. I think we're hitting on the right things.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep at it. We're gonna have some more content for this season. I know
We
we
are.
we are heading into the holiday season,
And we usually take a break, but we're gonna still hit some more recordings.
heading into somebody's 50th birthday.
Yeah, so I'll be out of town for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna slip you some money to bring me back a droid or a lightsaber or
Oh,
something while
I'll
you're.
bring you back whatever you want, man. I'll be loaded up. I might have to rent a trailer while I'm down there to bring everything back.
That's fine. That's fine.
Hey, but um, I do want to give a shout out to some folks. I keep talking about it. I keep writing these notes down. I got this damn sticky note that I keep sitting here to try to remind myself. But I do want to give a shout out to Bruise Brothers. We were
Yes,
out in
indeed.
Powhatan County, last week.
Yeah, they very, very kindly included us as part of a fundraiser.
Yeah, no,
They
that
had
was awesome.
a drinks and dinner thing that they put on, they hosted, um, that was at a place out in Powhatan Courthouse. And if you're familiar with Central Virginia, Powhatan is a rural county immediately to the west of town. Has a place called Three Crosses Distillery.
Man, a great place. That's the first time I've been there. It was fantastic.
Really, really cool place. The spiced rum is outstanding. I
Nice.
mean, outstanding. Um, like, so, if they want to sponsor at some point, hey,
Oh yeah.
um, but they put that on, and that was such a great event. It
It
really
really
was.
was, and thank you to Bruise Brothers for that again. They are really
Killing
they're
it. You can
they
just say killing it.
yeah, I mean, it seems like they're growing real quickly, and they're getting a lot of positive response really fast. But and got to talk to several of them
Hmm.
while I was there, and everybody in Bruise Brothers, they are just fantastic guys. I mean, every one of them, I think they're just fantastic. I love getting to spend time with them, love talking with them, and I love the work they're doing. So, but yeah, Bruise Brothers, man, thank y'all for everything that y'all are doing. Also wanted to give a shout out to Kenny Mitchell, who does Operation Yellow Tape. If you haven't, he's got a podcast, Operation Yellow Tape, and he's also got a website. But he does a lot of mental health, wellness, and things like that. He travels around speaking.
Kenny is doing some outstanding
Man,
work.
he really is. And I just reached out to him on LinkedIn. I started seeing the things on there. I was like, let me check out his
Mm-hmm.
podcast. So I
Mm-hmm.
started listening, and I was like, man, I need to reach out to this guy. So we've been in talk. He's coming on Badge to the Bone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're setting it up for November when I get back from my trip. And but he's really doing some great work, and we actually were next to each other at that Vail event, so we got to talk a whole lot. There was the first time we met face to face. But just a great shout out to Operation Yellow Tape, doing some fantastic work. Please check out his website, check out his podcast. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, he just and hopefully we get him on. Maybe we get on his.
Yeah, and he's
But I
been
mean,
plugging for us too, and I appreciate that,
we are
Kenny.
grateful.
Man, really appreciate that. But he's doing some great stuff.
Another news item is we are looking to try to make a jump to YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Those of you that follow us on,
You're gonna have to look at us. Holy shit.
I'm just gonna say right now, just I am not an attractive man. So,
I think you're a pretty good looking fella.
what are you doing after the show?
How you doing?
I mean,
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be it's gonna be a good time.
you're gonna have to look at us, which is
I'm sorry,
gonna be tough.
but we'll be in a cool bar. So
Yeah, we will. And so we are looking to make that transition. It is a little bit of a technical hurdle for us at the moment, but hurdles can be overcome. And we are working in that direction. We haven't quite decided how that's going to work yet. Whether we would do episodes, complete episodes, or just do some short content. Haven't quite figured that out yet.
Yeah, we're working on how that is going to play in. I mean, I think we still want to have the podcast episodes, so you still have that, but maybe add in the YouTube and have some additional content.
And so, with that being said, if there's something that you want us to talk about, something you want us to see, something you want to share, reach out to us. Facebook is currently our only social media. That's in part because I can't figure out how to make this work with Instagram. Again, nobody wants to look at us that much.
I mean, we could we could put pictures of bottles of bourbon or something like that.
Yeah,
look at that.
Well, I mean, if that's all I needed to do, I can
done and done.
Yeah, I can give you all kinds of photos of empty bottles. But so so that's where we're tracking right now. We will have a few more episodes before we kind of wrap the season around the holidays and take a little break. So again, if there's something you want us to see, we are going to try to lighten it up. I know
we are.
That's the one complaint I've gotten is we've been kind of heavy this season,
but that's why we did.
That's
this.
a valid complaint.
It is, but that's why we did this recording. Is we've got some stuff weighing us down lately. It slowed us up a little bit. It's probably going to slow up this actual season, for a little bit. But we're still running. We're still rocking and rolling, and
we're not going anywhere.
No, we're gonna keep on digging out. In fact, we're gonna be doing more. So,
yep. Well,
yeah,
I think that about wraps it up.
All right, but like you said, Al, that wraps it up.
I believe that it does.
But where can they find us in the meantime?
They can find us at badgetothebone.com. They can also find us on Facebook at Badge to the Bone.
Also, make sure to shoot us an email at wearebadgetothebone@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. But Al, until then, be safe.
And be well.